It is better to think of church in the alehouse than to think of the alehouse in church.
Yeah, let's do beer of the week. This week's beer of the week is Stone Temple Piglets from Ramblin Brewing Company.
Is that what we're calling it?
That's the name I came up for it.
I was thinking of Julian's Pig. Do I want that much of it?
Yeah, I'm going to drink at least that much.
Well, there's a head on it.
I did carbonate it for us.
Oh, you didn't mention this earlier.
No, I came over Sunday, carbonated it, and fixed the kegerator, so they'd be ready for beer of the week tonight.
More connectors.
And we got more connectors.
Winning.
Actually work.
Nice.
Cool, got a little host.
Oh, it's okay. I want to make sure I like this thing first.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to Ramblin Brew Company's first beer.
Why are we looking? You guys already had it on.
Yeah, we tried it on Sunday, dude.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was like, why are we looking?
It's better
at
though
me?
than it was Sunday.
Yeah.
It's carbonated more.
Mm.
There's still like a syrupy thing to it.
It's the stone fruit. There's no way around it.
That's why it's Stone Temple Piglets.
Wait, I'm confused by the stone thing that you're getting at here.
Stone fruit.
Where did the stone fruit come in?
You don't taste it?
No, I'm asking where did that come from?
Oh,
It came from the
fermentation.
too high fermentation temperature.
yeah. We fermented it too warm, and so it's got like a syrupy.
Brewing
stone
is a
fruit.
craft, a science, and an art.
And I made a beer label for it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Looks great.
thanks.
We gotta get that on something.
Yeah. We'll print it out sometime. I'm going to change it. It currently says West Coast IPA, and that's not IPA.
Let's make it an American IPA or something benign, or just say West Coast, or just say IPA.
Yeah, it's
I think I'm just going to call it West Coast Ale.
it's definitely not bitter enough.
There's not hops. You don't get a hop flavor, really.
No.
Which is wild because it's been dry hopped.
Yeah.
Man, if I knew we were drinking it tonight, I would have bought a blind pig.
Well,
We were at quality.
I
Like
think we have another 30 cracks at this, so we got
Yeah.
some time.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
Oh, for sure. I don't have a problem with it. I mean,
It's not what we were trying to brew, but I think it's delicious.
Yeah, it's a good beer. I also took some to Kenny to get the sommelier's take on it, and he said that for homebrewers, first brew batch, it's a home run.
Cool.
Most homebrewers, it's very undrinkable, and he poured himself a glass of it and drank it. So
cool. Nice.
we're doing all right.
Right on.
Yeah.
We'll see how DBA does.
CDBA next.
This weekend.
It's super drinkable for 7.4.
I
know it's not bitter, and it's not a West Coast, but I find it very easy to drink.
So according to Kenny, even though that's what the math says,
Mm-hmm.
all that sweetness indicates there's still some sugar in there that didn't get fermented, and yeah, we're probably a couple, like 2% lower.
2% lower.
Yeah, like
5.5?
Yeah, we're probably sitting at 5.5, 5.6.
But how does that work? I'm confused on the gravity of that because gravity means that there's more sugar in there.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, he says that's not how the math works, but then at the same time, like that's what the math said. So that was
Yeah.
our starting sugar content, and that's what our ending sugar content was, and so that's how you determine it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know, I get you. I
I just that's
know
what it
you're not
said.
Kenny,
If
and
no
you're
one
like,
said on
don't
Sunday,
shoot the messenger.
we now appreciate Julian's sometimes obfuscating on certain things.
yeah.
It's a little more complicated than
We
it
say that,
seems.
but also at the same time, like your job is like, and that's what Matt said at Blazing Sun. He was like, "Yeah, my job is to dial things in and get it perfect. Like I'm supposed to like this. I'm making beer that's supposed to taste the same every single time I make it, and it's supposed to be consistent. Like that's what he talked about. He was like, that's my main thing. is that I need to make a consistent beer every single time.
I think Julian and Kenny are more like Bradley Cooper and Burnt, where consistency is the death of a fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and it doesn't mean that he's not experimenting or making new beers. It just means that once I put a title on it, once I say that it's cilantro, then it's
agree.
always going to be cilantro. Like that's.
I agree.
So, and you can put out like a crazy batch or whatever, like he said that he's done with like the crazy stuff. But he's like, but like when you're shipping out to everywhere, it needs to be. He's like, the beer in the can should be fairly similar to the beer that's being poured on tap.
I have a vague memory that when we were getting a lot of that from Julian, it was a hot summer, and I imagine it's probably difficult trying to stay consistent in a completely non-insulated warehouse.
Yeah.
Whereas other places that are warehouses, there's some level of air conditioning that I experience. In that place, there is none. If it's 105 and you're trying to brew and you got to get it down, cold crash it, you might not get it down in time. I don't know.
Hey, they got swamp coolers.
They do.
One swamp cooler. I left it turned on Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like this, but this is more my flavor profile than is Colton's, I think.
That's okay.
We've had stuff that tastes like this, though, out of the can, and we've had stuff like this in the last, I would say, 2-3 months, and where they've said West Coast, and we've been, boo, this is not a West Coast. It wasn't dark like this. It looked more like a IPA. It was yellower in color, but it had this same stone fruit kind of sweet flavor to it. And it wasn't piney.
Yeah, I don't know. It's good.
Listeners will note that Colton's voice went up about 2 octaves when he said it. It's good.
I felt like you liked it more last week, and I liked it less, and now it's kind of flipped.
I don't think I think it's people that are artists or people that are trying to perfect a craft. I don't mind there being optimism in the room. And I think that there's also there also needs to be people that are like, we could definitely make this better.
Oh, we can do
I know. Better. And you're like, it's a win. And I'm just like, yeah, but I mean, okay.
Sorry, I've spent $900 in the last 6 weeks.
Oh,
I'm gonna
100%. Bro, I've dropped a couple $100 myself.
I know.
And I mean, like, I know it's exciting and stuff. I'm just like, all right, I gotta, like, for me, I just want to, I'm not saying I'm trying to go for perfection or anything like that. I'm just like, oh man. So, I mean, that's okay. I'm sorry. Am I putting it down around?
No, no, there does need to be a
no one's like, yes,
driver in the room.
Okay.
I'm where Kenny is. Well, I don't know. We might have set ourselves up that we're going to do pretty well because we're using a recipe. But, again, like I said, it's part science, part
that
art.
Can change from that recipe too.
What?
I said, yeah, and there's a lot that can change from that recipe because we followed the recipe to the T.
Well, we didn't know because we didn't ferment it at the temperature it was supposed to be fermented at.
Yeah.
We also boiled the mash at a higher temp.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things, but I don't know. We learn as we go.
It's more difficult than it. Well, yeah. We made it as easy as possible with the kit that we procured, but it's still not an easy process. So
yeah, but it's got good color.
It's got a good color. Oh, I still have our beer glass.
It's still pretty clear. Like, like if you hold it up to the light, like again, if it was an American IPA or like a British ale, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's exactly what it looks like. It's a little bit more amber than a typical IPA than what you're looking.
The appearance, the color is copper. Clarity, we have crystal, cloudy, dull, bright, and opaque.
It's still a little cloudy.
A head depends on who got a pour. Mine was pretty.
I had a good head on mine.
I had a head and it was white.
I was happy to have a head.
Mine's lingering too.
Yeah, I still got some on.
Yeah, I've got mine.
Malt.
Yeah, there is
malt. Is malty, sweet, coffee, nutty, biscuity.
Malty and sweet, I guess.
I was like, I could see if you said chocolatey, I wouldn't like. It's not like a porter or a stout kind of chocolatey, but it's still like
the yeast.
Sweet malt
I have no idea. Yeast. It says clove, pepper, phenolic or phenolic, musty, and banana. I don't know.
Banana because it's sweet.
Yeah, there we go.
Just gonna go for the sweetest option every time.
earthy, floral, citrus, grass, pine. Oh, that's for the aroma. It smells a little more IPA-ish than it tastes.
Yeah.
You can smell the hops. Flavor malt, bready, caramel, coffee, chocolate, biscuity. I'm going to say caramel. Yeast, fruity, tart, warming, buttery, funky. It's definitely fruity. Hops, earthy, floral, citrus, grass, pine. Those don't change. Mouthfeel, carbonation, spritzy, creamy, vivacious, delicate or prickly.
Vivacious. Just for the fun of it.
Sensation, smooth, vicious, silky, puckering, or warming. Let's say smooth, maybe silky, smooth. Finish, dry, fruity, bitter, quenching, syrupy.
Syrupy?
Yeah, syrupy.
It is syrupy.
Drinkability, heavy, refreshing, light, filling, intense. Probably intense. It's not light. I wouldn't say it's refreshing.
I think if it weren't as syrupy, I think it'd be refreshing.
I agree.
But it kind of coats your mouth.
Yeah, there's like a hefty. Yeah, it's so that when you said it earlier, I was like buttery. I know that seems kind of like a weird concept, but it's like there's a fat like
That's probably from the remaining sugars that
in your mouth.
Please.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm talking about, though, right? Like like fat off of an animal or butter. Like it kind of has that kind of coat film of your mouth kind of feel. I don't know.
Did you tell him what we were told to do? We need to continue dropping the gravity, and
I think, so I think I did. Add a little sugar, shake it up, just agitate it.
Yep.
Ingenuity, excellent, boring, average, excessive, creative. I'll go with creative. Accidental, how about that? Accidental ingenuity.
There you go.
We'll add to the list. Style, on point, random, close miss, traditional, and flawed. Oh, yeah, it's flawed.
Yeah.
It's definitely flawed.
So we're calling it what? Stone Temple Piglets?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Did Eric try it?
What?
No.
He wasn't here outside.
Yeah, he was on his date.
Nice. Good for him.
Good for him. I told Tim I'm a little jealous of her because now I'm not gonna be able to hang out with my buddy as much.
Dude. Also, what was it the other day? You were like, oh yeah, talking about getting the cactus tattoo or whatever. And he was like, well, I'm off work for the next 2 months. So, and I was like, yeah, actually, that's like the time where nobody sees you, Eric.
Yeah.
I was like, that was a wild statement from him. I was like, bro, you get gone for like 2 weeks before you go to freaking Reno.
Yeah.
And then you're gone for like another week after that. And all that. I was like, what?
He goes caravanning like a Brit.
Yeah, which is fine. But I was like, that's a wild statement to just be like, well, I'm off for 2 months. So whenever. I'm like, no.
No. I mean, I'll plan on going over to his house next Monday.
This Monday.
Yeah. Yeah. A week from yesterday.
Yeah. So, well, how's everybody doing?
I'm doing all right. My house is a demolition zone.
Fun.
So we're having the flooring changed in the entire house. So they're currently working the kitchen. We're already a day behind, but it's all right.
Cool.
So how about you guys?
Yeah, I'm good, I guess. Going over house sitting starting on Thursday for most of the month. I'm looking forward to that. Gonna play a lot of golf and drink a lot of really good whiskey. It's there.
He does have a nice selection. I saw that. Well, at least some of it on the kitchen counter on Saturday.
Yeah. We bought a bottle of that Uncle Nearest single barrel.
I saw that.
And he told me he expects it to be gone when he gets back. I'm like, all right, yeah, I got you. And then trying to figure out how to get back into school, filling out. I got to do 3 years of taxes that I never filed before I could fill out my financial aid paperwork. So trying to find W-2s and calling people and talking to them, trying to get copies because I've lived in 3 different places over those 3 years. So Not everything made it to every house.
It's fair. I'm exhausted.
You're exhausted.
Yeah. Oh, I've been working out with my team. So we've been doing a practice. So we started practice yesterday morning, 8 a.m. I did the entire practice with them. I did the entire practice with them today. I'm not used to swimming a mile a day. It's like, so I swam a mile yesterday, swam a mile today. On top of that, working around, passing the ball around, taking shots. And of course, my varsity players want to size me up and play on me. And so I'm actually like having to like fight and struggle with these kids, which is, I'm having to like give lots of energy. So I'm just wiped. I'm sore. I haven't done a swim practice in 15 years. I haven't done a water polo practice in 12 years. And so I'm just like, whew. But it's been really good. I was like, I feel good. I'm just tired. I'm probably closer with my team than I've ever been, just because we're all suffering through it together through the entirety of the practice. The hard part is I feel like I've also like crossed over a threshold where I'm like, all right, let's get in line or whatever. And they're not as active as they once were, which is summer practice. So it's not as big of a deal, but also like, hey, I'm still your coach. You need to move and do what I'm telling you to do. Just because I'm in the water with you doesn't mean that what I say doesn't go. So stop jumping off of the bottom of the pool. Like,
Yeah.
so they're just like, oh, Pierce. And I was like, no, stop jumping. I was like, just because I'm in here doesn't mean I can't tell you to go do jump outs. Like,
Yeah.
so trying to find that equilibrium, but it's been good working with them and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm exhausted. So yeah, that's been me.
You need an assistant coach to be like the enforcer out of the pool.
My assistant coach got in there with me today. So
Oh.
we were both doing it. My assistant coach is like 3 years removed from high school. So like, he's still like not as far behind as I am.
Do you think you've gotten any pool cred with the kids for being in with them so far?
Oh, for sure. 100%. They're actually like, why haven't you gotten in sooner or whatever? And I'm just like, I don't have like,
I'm an old man.
yeah, that's what I tell them. I'm like, guys, I'm trying not to throw up after these swim sets. And I'm just like, dude, swim sets are rough. I'm literally just like, 2 more laps. Kind of get down. We do these things called lung busters, which is where, well, how we structure our swim sets is you swim every day you come into the pool, you're going to swim as our warm-ups. You swim 2 200s, you swim 4 100s, and then you swim 650s. Our 650s are like creative stuff where they get to kind of like our captains get to mess around and like do crazy stuff with them. So like, some things are water polo related, some things are not. So like you do 3-3 there, which is you swim 3 strokes freestyle, then you switch over onto your back and you swim 3 strokes backstroke, then back over to your front and then back over to the backstroke and all that kind of stuff. But then they have this one that they do that's called a lung buster. And so you try to hold your breath as long as you can all the way to the other side of the pool, which when I was in high school, no problem. 25 meters to hold your breath for. You're just like, okay. Now I'm just going, and I got to be honest, I'm like, yeah, never mind. Like, I'm just like, I don't really want to try this or suffer through it. Like, I get like halfway through the pool, and I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I have a career. Like,
I'm not playing these games.
Yeah. So then one of my captains was like, all right, Pierce, we're going to do lung buster there and lung buster back. And I was like, okay, so I'm just going to swim freestyle there and freestyle back. That's what I'm going to do. So yeah, they're having a good time messing with me and doing that kind of stuff. And so we got a good rapport going, especially with the new boys that have just come out. I've got like 5 or 6 freshmen that have come out just over the past couple of days. And so getting in there and just kind of working with them and stuff has been great. Helps retain them, coach isn't this unapproachable person or whatever, talks with them, chats with them while they're throwing the ball around and stuff. So it's been really good. Makes it also easier at the end of practice for me to go and shake each one of their hands and tell them that they did a great job at practice today and that I'm proud of them and that kind of stuff. So I was like, we made it. They're like, I'm so tired. I'm like, me too. I want to go cry.
Oh, you're still working worse.
Yeah.
Hot topics? Nolan, you played poker last night?
Yeah.
I was like, no one's got a hot topic on poker.
Okay. So I'm in a group of people as we've started a poker tournament kind of thing. We run it first Monday of every month. Normally, like last night we had 16 people. I think the most we've ever had was 25-ish. Just kind of depends on the week. And the very first month, the format was like this. It was a $40 buy-in, and 10 of it went to the house, 15 went to that night's pot, and 15 goes to the final table. Well, you start with 50 chips, and you are allowed. The first month we were allowed one rebuy, and you rebought with 15 chips, and you got you got 25 chips with your rebuy. It is spiraled into you now get as many rebuys as you want.
It's Jimmy.
And you get
It's Jimmy Rollins. Yeah.
That's all right.
You got to touch a gray real quick.
Yeah, you did. You get as many rebuys as you want. It's $15, and you get a full stack of 50 chips. And so, but we cut off rebuys an hour into it. So for that hour, it's just a madhouse of people throwing money around. And it's crazy. I mean, like, we're talking about, there was a guy last night that bought or rebought, went all in on the flop with all 50 chips, lost, and was back in the next hand because he rebought. And so our table of 8 last night started with 400 chips on the table. And by the end of that hour, we had upwards of 800, somewhere close to 850, I think. I was like, this is insane.
So management's allowing this to be turned into a high rollers table.
Yeah. So you get 850 chips at the table. My stack, where I've been playing conservatively, and I've over doubled my money. I'm up to 100, and I was up to like 120 chips at one point. And
which in the initial pot is a quarter of the pot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's now no longer the quarter of the pot.
Right. Now it's an eighth of the pot.
And well, you're also encouraging table ransom.
Yes.
Which is why at big tournaments, you're not allowed to buy back in. So you just don't bully people around and be like, oh, I'm going to go all in. Well, shit, I got $5,000 more in my bank account. I'm just going to buy in one more time. All you're doing is encouraging that guy to be a dick.
Yeah, exactly.
And keep being a bully at the table instead of having to manage his pot.
Well,
this is why I don't like poker.
I don't know if that particular dick, one of the dicks at the table last night was, I'm house sitting for his son-in-law this week. He was the one that threw down and then rebought and lost it all the next hand. I was like, you're going to go bankrupt on just rebuying. He's like, oh, no, it'll be all right. And yeah.
I don't like that style of poker.
No. I think at the end of the night, we had 18 people, and we had upwards of 25 rebuys total.
I don't like that style of poker either. I just don't like cutthroat poker. I like playing with my homies, and it takes 4 to 5 hours to get through.
Which is how this started.
Everybody's like $10 buy-in, and you just...
Yeah, I mean, I want to feel like,
you just sit around.
I want
to
feel like people are... If you're good at reading the table, then you're being rewarded for reading the table. Or if you're good at tricking people, that's not the word for it, but I can't remember the name. Then you get rewarded for it.
I did have a guy tell me last night, hey, you're just kind of hanging around, huh?
But just like buying pots by going all in, that just ruins it.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're sitting there going like, I am not rebuying in if I lose here, but I have a really good hand.
Yeah.
To which the person who bought in said, well, that's poker. No, it's not really, but it's not really, because again, you're not, you go at a actual poker tournament, most of the time, that's it. You're out.
Yeah.
You burn your chips, you're done.
I almost didn't come here tonight. I was going to go to, there's a game at the Elks Lodge that is run that way. It's a $40 buy-in. There's no rebuys. 30 of it goes to the pot, and then 5 goes to high hand for the night, and 5 goes to, they do a bounty system. So every time you knock somebody out, you can collect their bounty chip, and then you turn them in at the end of the night, and you get $5 per chip you turn in. So that's pretty cool. I was like, that'd be worth checking out. I'd be the youngest person at the Elks Lodge.
Just turn into Matt Damon.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
There's a poker night at the barbershop at Evolutions on Wednesdays.
Yeah. It's a
$400 buy-in.
There's a game with a bunch of city guys.
Yeah, I like that barbershop at Evolutions.
I know you do.
Where I go.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I was just very frustrated with it last night. I was like, dude, this isn't fun anymore. So like, I went in, I raised pre-flop because I had pocket queens, and legitimately nobody followed me. I didn't do a crazy raise. I raised the minimum. So it was the big line was $10. I raised it to 20. 0 people followed me. Next hand, somebody raised pre-flop. I followed on principle. I had like an ace-7 suited. I was like, you know what? I want to see the flop. I called, but at that point I had 70-ish chips, 80 chips, something like that. And then I called, and the guy next to me raised it to 40 chips. I was already in for 20. I felt pot committed, so I called that 40, and then flop came out, and I got 2 more of my flush. So I had a flush draw going in to the turn of the river, and I got pushed all in. I was like, all right, I'm going for it. Kind of a 50-50 chance I get my card on one of those 2, and didn't get it. Didn't get it and lost to a pair of 6s.
Woo!
Woo! So fun. Thanks, guys.
Sorry, you ready for my hot topic?
Yep.
Oh, sure.
Nolan's already heard me rant about this for 2 days.
Oh, okay.
So in the NASCAR race on Sunday,
Hell yeah.
sorry, we're gonna do sports for 5-10 minutes. The NASCAR race on Sunday, is he rookie? Is he officially a rookie? Hocevar, last year was his rookie year, wasn't it?
No, he's
officially a rookie.
No, last year was his rookie year.
And he was rookie of the year last year.
Yeah, I think
Rookie of the year last year, but he's on a new team this year. Carson Hocevar, he's a bit of a wild card. He is known for kind of overdriving, leading directs, et cetera, et cetera. We're in the middle of the race, and he's riding the line 2 or 3 feet above the bottom inside line. I did rewatch it, Nolan.
Okay.
I'm not imagining anything.
You haven't
And if anything, I think there's a conspiracy here from the NASCAR world, because all they ever do is show you like a half a second to a second before the wreck. They don't give you like the full 10 seconds before, which clearly shows. So anyway, Ricky Stenhouse gets quote unquote wrecked by Carson Hocevar, ends his day, and literally every person in NASCAR is blaming Carson Hocevar.
Everybody loves Ricky too.
Now, as Nolan will attest, on Sunday, I kept saying aloud, this gives me pause. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing, but no. So what happened, so Stenhouse was riding above Hocevar, decided to come down, clipped Hocevar's front right side, and spun himself out. The consensus was Hocevar needed to slow down and give Stenhouse the right of way, because that was the gentlemanly thing to do with his fellow driver.
Because we are F1 racers now. And
yes, apparently we've become F1 racers, to which even that doesn't work because Ricky had beat him to the apex in the corner. If that had been Tony Stewart, if Hocevar had been Tony Stewart would have told Ricky Stenhouse to go put his big boy pants on and stop drinking Kool-Aid, drinking his Sunny D. It was so insane. I don't understand it. It really bothers me. He's not required to. he has a spotter.
Yeah.
The spotters generally always literally say in some cases, you're clear. Door, bumper, you're clear. But they, in some kind of way, they say, you're clear. Half a car, full car, you're clear. He just came down and hit him, spun himself out, and then because it turned into a popularity contest, and I think we're trying to gin up the fact that Hocevar's the new Ross Chastain, and he's the new crazy person that you got to worry about, and we need to teach him the ways of NASCAR so that he becomes more appropriate. Everyone just jumped on board.
Yeah. Even though the difference is Hocevar, I mean, he'll put a bumper in you, but he ain't trying to wreck people.
No.
Like Chastain was a couple of years ago.
The other point was it was somewhere around or near turn, and been watching this car for now 3 years, and it happened to Jimmy Johnson the week before. If you happen to let off the gas or downshift in a corner on a mile and a half track, there are times where the back end will just step out on you because it does not like that you've all of a sudden, by your quick speed change, you've created dirty air on yourself and your car will spin out on the back. And if I'm him, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to keep riding my line around this corner and it's your problem. And he could have just as easily been spun out by Stenhouse. That's what would everyone have said? I answered my question yesterday when you and I were talking about it. If Hocevar had spun himself out, they would have said, yeah, well, it serves him right because he didn't give Stenhouse any room.
Yeah.
I've never heard this argument before.
Right.
Where did this argument come from?
Came from F1.
I need to give you the space?
They want NASCAR to be more like open wheel racing.
I don't know.
They want
I've
to
generally
attract
liked
the
the Amazon coverage. Maybe this is some strange Amazon thing. We've got like Jeff Bezos influencing NASCAR or something. Although I haven't listened to Door Bumper Clear or watched it this week, so I don't know if they've said it too, but I imagine they have. And then Junior's been very clear that he thinks he should have given them space, but he also doesn't want him to change. So anyway, it's neither here nor there to the show, but I just had to rant. So let's get a little sports in. Colton, you ready for the Stanley Cup final? Starts tomorrow.
Wait, before we move on, just because I feel like it needs to be said, I do 100% believe that both of you are extremely hypocritical on that, by the way, because you guys believe in unwritten rules in NASCAR all the fucking time. So I was like, I don't know.
That's
what do you
fair,
mean?
but that's fair. But as I said, there has never been I have
This
never
is
ever
a new unwritten
in
rule.
40 years of following NASCAR, I've never heard the unwritten rule that you're supposed to give guys space.
But
when
even
it's
that,
coming
that
down.
just makes my eyes roll. Where I'm just like, okay, so there's a new unwritten rule that's general. I'm just like, okay, I don't know. You guys accept some unwritten rules versus others. Like what? Okay, so this one, even if you're like, this is a new one. I was like, you guys just sound like old men that are like,
No,
man, these.
I sound like someone who doesn't like new Coke versus old Coke.
Yeah, you sound like an old man complaining about how you, back in my day.
Colton, this is a podcast. It's made for yelling at the sky. That's all this is.
Hey, and here I am to bring some spice to your little argument over there. Because I brought up something last time, and I got shut down. That's not racing. Okay. All right. Well, my bad.
What are we talking about?
I was like, okay. So I stopped chiming in on NASCAR stuff. I was told deliberately it was not racing. That's not how we do things. Oh, okay.
I don't know. I need to. Was it on the podcast? Can we go back and find
No, it
it?
wasn't on the podcast.
Oh, then
It was
I
at
have no
Kauai. I got shamed, and I was like, all right, I'm never talking about NASCAR ever again. We're not I'm done. So, whatever.
I don't think that was the lesson that needed to be learned, but okay.
Well, but I mean, so here we are months later, somebody gets in a wreck, and you guys are like, and apparently getting bumped is now, I mean, I applaud you for sitting there and saying that, come on, I didn't do anything wrong, which I'm not saying that he didn't do anything wrong. I'm just saying the focus on your end is the gentlemanly thing where you're just like, am I wrong on that? Is that was that not the focus?
I understand where you're coming from, but it's just when my eyes when one guy is driving straight and the other guy drives down into him and wrecks himself, I don't understand why the guy driving straight was being ungentlemanly.
Yeah. It's just everybody's talking about it one way, and if you watch it, it looks like it's not that.
Yeah, which a lot of racing people will say we can't really go by what you see. There's more to it. I hear that a lot, particularly on NASCAR, Formula One stuff. Well, that's what it looks like, but that's from that angle. The angle that I was watching it from was from the car behind Hocevar. And yes, there's no movement from Hocevar into Stenhouse.
Yeah.
Anyway, how's everybody doing on their beer?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Yeah. Are we having another one? Or is this when you're telling me we also hooked up DBA this week? And
No. That would be funny.
It's well carbonated though. Good job.
Thank you.
What did you end up doing? Like you just
Yeah.
Oh, I got the connector fixed.
shook the hell out of it. But I mean, like how many pounds of
I put about 35 pounds of pressure on it
Oh, okay.
and cooled that down so that the CO2 would turn into a liquid, and then shook it all up and mixed it in, and then put another 35 pounds on it. And
Does
shook
that mean
that
like
all
put
up.
another 35 pounds on it? Because so like after you shook it a bunch, you then hooked it back up to the CO2, but it's still showing. Wouldn't it not still be showing 35 psi?
So I hooked it back up to the CO2. So I purged the CO2 line and then put it back, connected the CO2 back onto it. And it doesn't show 35 pounds.
Oh, wait. So you released. So wait, did you release CO2 from the tank?
From the keg?
Yeah.
No.
I'm just confused by that.
So when CO2 is cold and under pressure, it turns into a liquid.
Got it.
So when I put that 35 pounds on, I put it in the fridge, let that turn into a liquid. And once it was a liquid, then I could mix it into the beer, shook it up, mixed it in the beer.
Gotcha.
And then I put another 35 pounds of pressure on, mixed that up, or cooled it off, mixed it up, and then went that way. And then I hooked it back up and set it to about 12 psi for the kegerator to work,
Gotcha.
to pump the beer out of it.
Nice. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. But shaking up that keg was a pain in the ass.
Oh, that's good.
And we haven't switched the connectors to the new connectors yet, so it's still got that threaded one on there.
Oh yeah.
I just moved the hose clamp on top of the threads and tightened the hell out of it. And there's no gas leaking right now. So that's working well.
Cool.
Yeah. But now we have new plugs or
Yeah,
connectors.
now we have. There should be ones with flanges on there, so they'll snug up tight,
Cool.
and more connectors.
How are we going to cold crash the DBA?
Ice, water in the
Yeah.
in that
And that's where,
the square cooler.
yeah, that'll work.
It's even more efficient than a bath.
We got a week and a half until then anyway, so.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I guess. No, it's actually this week.
Is it this week?
Yeah. Once we add the dry hops, we can cold crash.
Okay.
Because it's done fermenting.
All right. We need to put the findings, the silicone. We need to put that in before we cold crash this time.
Okay. Por qué?
Because that's how it's supposed to be done, apparently.
Oh, I don't know. It's what I thought it said on them. It says before you bottle.
It
says on the silicone before you bottle, drop 5 drops or whatever.
Yeah.
5 gallon.
Yeah. I was talking about with Kenny. He likes to do it even like a day before cold crashing to let it just mix in a little bit. And then when you cold crash, it catches everything. Because it's like the ions in the bottle are negatively charged and the silicone is positively, or vice versa, whatever.
Cool.
And so for the
I
finding
think our
process,
beer came out pretty clear for.
yeah, it's not looking as bad now. When we first got it hooked up, there was a lot of sediment.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, but it's not.
I had like
nearly
a
as
couple
bad
of
now.
pieces of sediment, but
Yeah,
I've
no,
also
I
had-
mean there was like a caked on bottom of it. Yeah. Kenny's brewing Neva tomorrow. I might go hang out at the brewery and check it out.
nice.
Yeah. Tim, what are we drinking?
We are drinking the Endless Shoreline IPA from Pizza Port Brewing Company, and it's delicious. That's one of their better ones. That's saying a lot. What do you guys think? Well, you guys are chatty Cathy's tonight.
Cole's watching the Dodger game.
I did start this conversation by saying I'm exhausted. I was like, I'm sorry. There's like exhausted, and then there's like just like mentally. I don't know. I'm water polo exhausted. That's what I am. And so I don't have like. I feel bad for Nolan. Nolan came over to my house earlier today, and I didn't feel like I was much of a talker. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm just like, blah.
Nah, reset you covered. I was plenty talking.
Did you say reset me covered?
Yeah.
I was like, I felt like Audrey had you covered.
Yeah.
I ordered those. They're coming tomorrow.
I didn't see what it was. I saw from Fermentology. What were we talking about? Before I said I was exhausted.
Well, we were just kind of rambling on. This is the Rambling podcast by Ramblin Brew Co.
Who should Matthew McConaughey needs to be our spokesperson.
I can make that happen.
I know.
Main topic? Colton, you have anything? No.
New Pope?
No, we already talked about the new Pope.
Oh.
We're not looking for any more Catholic input. No.
Okay.
Wait. Oh, I was talking about the beer. The beer is New Zealand. So it kind of has that funk to it.
But
It's not bad. I don't know. It's a little funkier than I was looking for, but that's okay. Sorry, I'm just in a negative towards beer mood tonight, I guess. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be.
You want whiskey?
No. No, I do not.
Yeah, Tesla. He'll drive you home.
You're asking, you asked about the Stanley Cup Finals earlier. Yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to the rematch from last year. If Florida wants to win it, they're going to have to do the much more physical team. Edmonton's really not that physical. The problem with Edmonton is, and again, I feel like Florida has the edge for the finals because they're more physical and they're a team that likes to attack and score. So, and I think they're just one of those things that Edmonton's going to have to find a way to get over that hurdle. Because for Edmonton, the hard part for them is they got fucking McDavid, who's the best hockey player in the world right now. I'm not saying ever. Don't want to go down that road. And then they got fucking, golly, why can't I think of his name right now? He's like the second best hockey player in the world right now. So they got, and the thing is that those two play on the same shift together.
yeah, that's a problem.
They play on the same shift together until they score, until they get ahead. And then once they're ahead, then they go to two separate shifts.
I don't understand that. If that's your best line, then just keep the pedal to the floor and
Because they're that fucking good that they can carry their fucking line.
I know, but
and
if I would rather keep that line together.
But it keeps them rested to where eventually then they can also, if like somebody catches up, then they can toss them both on
all right,
together.
well, okay,
So,
that makes sense.
and it also makes it to where the defense has to adjust. And so they're able to have a more defensive minded with still having Drysdale is the other one, by the way. There we go. So it's McDavid and Drysdale. And so the two of them together are fucking stupid. But the hard part about Edmonton is they actually don't have a super great defense. They are like all offense. And then you have the physicality and the high press of the Florida defense, which pushes. They are like a full press in basketball. Like that's how they like to play when they're in the other team's zone. Those defenders will make you work and you have to make a good pass out of your end to the neutral zone, which is, it seems easy to do, but they press so damn hard and physically press you hard that it's suffocating. And that's why Carolina lost, which, I mean, Carolina doesn't have the offense. And so that might be one of those things. You might see a nice high scoring 7-game series like we saw last year. But yeah, I still think that Florida has the edge, even though Edmonton is better than last year. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be like, yeah, I don't know. Be cool to see.
I think you're about right. I really like Edmonton to win, but Florida just seems like a bunch of bullies.
They are. They're brutal on the boards, man. They're brutal in the open ice. And they love to just fuck with people. Like,
yeah,
fucking Matty Tkachuk is literally fucking Shorzy as a player, like as a NHL
Well, when you're,
player.
yeah, because it helps. That just adds to the beating you up, and then you're chatting at the same time. It just
He's chatting and but he does the whole like while a ref isn't looking, he's literally like sending a stick up your ass, like it's insane. I'm like they show him on the replays all the time, literally just like slapping people with sticks and pushing them and shoving them around. Like that's how he operates. Can't wait to see it in the Olympics next year.
that guy would get under my skin. I have to admit, I would just.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He would be getting under my skin. I would not be able to just.
Well, that's the reason why he was the
Ignore it.
first one to drop gloves in the USA versus Canada game. And then his brother came right back, and his brother's the same way. Brady and Matty they're brutal. That's why Ottawa was such a physical team as well. Yep. So there we go. We talked NASCAR and we talked hockey. We'll see how everything shapes out. I don't mind if Edmonton wins. I think it'd be great if McDavid gets the championship. Same as Drysdale. They're fantastic hockey players. And then I think it's still funny if Canadians haven't won a Stanley Cup since, early 90s or late 90s? 96? 90 or 80s?
The last Canadian team?
Yeah. To win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, wait. Didn't Toronto win a couple years ago?
Nope.
I know
that Canada is on a drought for winning the cup. Hey Siri.
Then the last team Canadian team that would have won has got to be maybe Montreal. No, I don't think.
I want to say it was the Canadians
It's got to be the Canadians
in the 90s. I'm pretty sure it's the 90s.
That would have been early 90s.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's the 411 on hockey and NASCAR. So go watch whatever rookie or whoever you're talking about on NASCAR, not be a gentleman, and then
93.
And then watch the Stanley Cup playoffs.
It was 93. They beat the Kings, Gretzky's Kings.
Ooh, I'm also sorry. I forgot that we were sharing cans. I just poured this entire can into my thing.
Yeah, we both poured first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
There was two cans, and he had about 2/3 of one. I had about 1/3 of one and 1/3 of the other. And...
Oh, okay. You just handed me a can. I was just like, yeah.
No, it's good.
Main topic, is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Oh, what is our main topic for this evening?
Is Joe Rogan a Christian?
Maybe.
Does he have to be?
Let's talk about this. I think we kind of briefly did you and I talk about it, Colton? A little bit
about is Joe Rogan a Christian, or what I said is does he have to be?
Well, I think we talked about the.
Are you
talking
full
about
Rob Bell? Love wins.
I'm going full like.
I'm with Colton, by the way, but
I mean, we talked about it like with movies, right, or whatever. We're like, or just like people. I don't know. There's like sometimes where we believe that, like, we try to put people into our camps, and like when it comes to like Christians, like we are the type that is just like, oh yeah, we need like.
Oh, we Christians love having celebrities.
Yeah, when
because
Tim
we
Tebow,
feel like it's going to make it easier to win people to Christ, and it just makes us cool.
Yeah, it makes us a part of it. We love going to shops that are Christian known, and we know about it.
Chick-fil-A, Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, is that what matters? Like,
I don't think it matters. So if you're listening to this and you don't know what we're talking about. I'm not a regular Rogan listener. I'm always checking to see who he's gone on. I don't watch when he has comedians on, just because.
I exclusively watch when he has comedians
I'm sure
on.
you do. Well, that's pretty much most of what his show is, but
I've never watched it, or I've never listened or watched a single thing of it from his show. So I know him from MMA fighting.
He's a Fear Factor guy.
I thought you were going to say news radio.
I wasn't old enough to.
News radio doesn't stream anywhere.
Does it?
No, I would love to watch it, but
it's funny. Somebody's
can't find it.
That means the syndicator's sitting on the rights.
Is it not on Truth TV?
I don't think it
True
has
Social?
enough episodes to get in syndication.
A number, yeah. There's a number. I think it's 100. They weren't on that. Anyway, Rogan, I would say over the last couple of years, he's had Christians on, or he's had people like Jordan Peterson who don't want to commit but are Christian friendly. And Joe's always been friendly. I know he had Mel Gibson on about 2-3 months ago. That was a fascinating conversation. He's had a couple other people on. Joe's always he's actually one of the more, he's got more positive things to say about Christians than Colton and I do. He's always very positive. When discussion on the show delves into like religious people and the differences between religions, he's always very genuinely talking about how he finds Christians to be the most, genuine Christians to be the most loving, forgiving people, generous, that kind of thing. And then this is a month, 6 weeks ago, he had a young guy, I think he's like 28. His name's Wes Huff. He's from Canada. He has a master's degree he's basically an expert in biblical languages, I think is what it is. He's finishing up his PhD, and he's at some kind of Bible Institute up in Canada. So he's very knowledgeable about a lot of the things Colton and I talk about, like when this book was actually written, when it wasn't written, when was, Genesis wasn't actually written here. It was written much longer. He's very good at answering those questions. And then he can also do a fairly good job at apologetics, although I find him he's a bit conventional for me. He's very like Lee Strobel, where he's kind of like everything's rational, but he's fairly good at it. So he was on Rogan about 6 weeks ago for about 3 hours. They talked Bible nonstop. He followed that up with the Andrew Schultz show like 2 weeks after that. Same thing, 3 hours, answered all kinds of questions about the Bible, Christianity, why Christians believe this, all that. Did a very good job. And then he was on a show with 3 other Bible scholars, older guys. I think he was on that show. And the host asked, so is Joe Rogan a Christian? And he laughed and said, well, I was on a show, and he and I have remained in contact since I was on the show. And I can tell you, Joe goes to church, and he's been going to church for a long time.
Huh.
And you could tell he was not going to say anything else. I got the sense that he knew a lot more, and it wasn't his place to say. So since then, there's been all kinds of wild stuff on podcasts and YouTube podcast-like shows talking about Joe Rogan being a Christian, stuff like that. I have no idea. Well, one, it doesn't surprise me that he is going to church or is, in those kind of circles, because he also had, what's his name? Alan Graham on a show 6 months ago. Alan Graham runs a large homeless village in Austin. Alan's rehabilitated around 100 long-term homeless off the streets, and they're living in a self-contained former homeless village encampment in Austin. And he's become kind of the foremost expert from someone on the ground who doesn't work in the government, doesn't work in left-wing organizations, who can accurately kind of give you an idea of who the homeless are, what they're not. They are not people who are lacking housing. They are people who have drug problems and alcohol problems. Those drug problem and alcohol problems largely result from some kind of childhood trauma, adult trauma, some kind of disconnection from community, and they're now on the streets, and they find their community there, and whatever their drug of choice is. And so Joe had him on because they had met each other at a fundraiser, and I thought, that's kind of interesting. What kind of circles is Joe running around in? So to hear that he's been going to church for a while I think might answer that question. But look, I think it's great. I think if he is a Christian, I think Joe at this point in time would be the perfect kind of guy to not represent, to just be a Christian.
So he needs to start his own church and have his own service where he's the preacher every Sunday, right?
No.
Isn't that what we want?
That's what we want them all to do. We want
to
to replicate the disaster of Hillsong or something like that. No, he needs to keep having the same conversation. The greatest thing for Christianity It doesn't need Joe Rogan, but the best thing for it would be to just Joe continue to be himself. Smoke cigars on show, talk about taking hallucinogens and all that kind of stuff, and swearing occasionally, and just being him.
Yeah.
And then kind of segueing into that, I will say there's anecdotal evidence to support this. I talked to my friend, our friend, well, my friend, I think you guys might know him, but you know who he is, Gilbert. He agreed. There does seem to be indications that there is a revival going on with under 30 in pockets around the country and in the world. So there's all kinds of that 24/7 church service that was going on in Kentucky is still going on. There's all kinds of stories you can read about on the internet where college kids are throwing baptism parties and kids are getting baptized like crazy. Gilbert told me that 4 of the largest colleges in the UK have had a groundswell of kids showing up to revivals and stuff, and they've had lots of churches go from 70 a week to 700 a week, and it's all people under 30 that are attending the churches. So that's something to keep an eye on. I think it would be great. That's the generation that we need a revival in. We don't need it in people my age or older, for sure. It needs to be people who have grown up, who are 100% iPhone babies.
We need the iPad kids.
We need the iPad kids. So,
yeah, I think, and I kind of want to push back on, well, I'm not pushing back on what I said earlier, but I do want to say that, like, there is a difference between, you know, it's still as somebody of the faith, and we've talked about it before on the show, that we really enjoy those stories about those people that have found God in a place or whatever. I think the hard part for me when I see Joe Rogan, and I know about some of the conversations he's had and that kind of stuff on his show, I'm just like, does he need to be a Christian? You know, like, I think he's doing great things. Like, I don't think that there's, like, kind of what you were talking about, where he's like, Joe Rogan just needs to continue being Joe Rogan. And so it's like, I don't need him to fit in this box or whatever in order for, you know, him to not already be spreading something like that positive message and vision that is out there, you know? I think he does a great job. Lots of people want to go on there and talk to him and share their experiences, and he's great at having conversations with them and getting them to talk about that kind of stuff, and which is awesome. And so I love that. And I don't think that, but if he had some crazy turnaround story or something like that, 100%, I think that's awesome and that's amazing, and I'd love to hear about it. That's not a problem for me either. But I'm also but you know,
I know what you mean. I think that's a way Nolan and I both took what you originally said. Yeah, we don't need him. I don't want him becoming the face of the church or some new part of Christianity. Just, I want him to be a Christian in the same way Bono and Denzel Washington are Christians, which is, you ask me about it, I'm going to give you an honest answer. Yes, I do believe Jesus died on the cross, rose 3 days, and if you find that crazy, then I can't help you out. But yes, that is literally what I believe.
Isn't Denzel a pastor?
Denzel's now a pastor. He's now a pastor, what is it, United Methodist?
Well,
no. It's Church of Christ. He's a Church of Christ pastor.
Well, you know,
he got ordained.
Well, I mean, like, here's the thing, kind of with kind of our faith, right? I don't even know if it necessarily has to be something that's my business. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to know what your theological background is to love on you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or to,
but we are also called to
yours.
spread the good news. So
Yeah. And we can spread the good news, and he could be like, hey man, I've already heard it. I'm with the crew or whatever. Then that would be how I knew or whatever, you know. I'm just saying, like, we don't have to sit there and just like, I don't need him to publicize it or whatever, as we kind of talked about. I don't know. He can keep it privately to himself and just be like, yeah, I'm a Christian. Because I don't know, one of the things that I always talked about, or I used to talk about with my dad, was I used to talk about him with, where I was like, I I don't want to live my life like when I was in high school, because those are the things that you fixate on in high school, because you hear those stories is, you go through and then people are like, oh, Colton, I didn't know you were a Christian. And you're like, oh, that's the biggest insult to me because I didn't live, and I didn't whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but really at the end of the day, if they don't see it, then it's their own, it's on them, like you can have, again, that's your business. You can keep it to yourself, and I can sit there and say, hey, you're somebody that I still wouldn't mind like people emulating or following for, what it is that you do. I don't know.
He had Bono on last week. I haven't watched that one yet. I want to watch it. Although I don't think Bono's would be the kind of guest who would ask him. But I think if he had it, I don't think if he is, or he's, yeah, I'm going to church, but I'm not quite there. Like, the kind of people Forrest talks about at our church all the time. I think I don't think he's going to talk about it. He's not going to bring it up.
No.
But I think if someone gets on the show and says, hey, what's with these Bible thumper rumors? I think he's going to give an honest answer. Like, oh, here's where I'm at. My wife and I are going. We find it's good for our marriage. We find it's good for our kids. I like, whatever his answer is, why he's going to church to start because at this point, that's all we know is the guy said he's going to church regularly. And we all know at this table, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
All that means is you're going to church.
Well, and even then, I think that, and something that I do appreciate about him, and from what I know about him, is I think he's just somebody who is curious and has an open mind.
Yes.
And that's what I hope for the majority of humanity, is that you continue to be curious and that you continue to have an open mind. That doesn't mean you don't stick to your beliefs or whatever, because again, for some Christian circles, that's a no-go,
yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you're sacrificing your belief in whatever you believe in. It just means that, okay, you're open to what other people believe, and you're not trying to cram the Bible down their throat, because there's some people, former board members at our church, it breaks our heart a little bit, that would believe that you would need to use that opportunity to then you need to let them know what they're doing wrong.
Oh, you have to tell them.
That's your job.
Because they're going to, otherwise, because they need to know they're going to go to hell.
Yeah.
That's the pitch. That's literally the pitch.
When again, that's, as we talked about on the show before, again, I believe that the afterlife has been manipulated to be this reason to get people to believe for so damn long that now it's embedded in the culture and our society that's our biggest focus. It's our biggest focus for ourselves. It's what drives a lot of our regret, a lot of our remorse when, again, what we talked about before, Galatians says that it's nothing you can earn. So therefore that's not a part of it. And then we also learn that, but meanwhile, hell, as talked about in the scriptures, is something that you put yourself in. It's something that you lock yourself in, not from the standpoint of you make mistakes or whatever. No, it's you openly rejecting God. It's you sitting there and saying, and what the Bible has said is like, this is kind of the dumb part, because this kind of gets misconstrued a lot of the times, is that, okay, let's pick some sin. Let's say, okay, you lied. Okay. So you lied to your mom about stealing cookies from the cookie jar. Okay. Some people will sit there and say, well, that sin was you deliberately choosing to shut God out of your life. And so therefore you need to repent from that sin, right? This is the whole idea or concept behind it. But a lot of people go to bigger sins, right? From there. But that's not what it's talking about. When we're talking about you have openly rejected Jesus Christ, it's you are rejecting God. It's people that are sitting there and saying that, no, you don't exist. I don't believe in this. I'm not holding this account. You are closing yourself off, fairly similar to Pharaoh, where that's one of the concepts that a lot of people go to, where because they were like, God punished all these innocent Egyptian people in the Old Testament, but it's from Pharaoh hardens his own heart. It's not God hardens his heart. It is that Pharaoh hardens his own heart and isn't receptive to God's will. And so therefore God continues to bring down
Yeah, Greg Boyle he got that question last week on one of his podcasts.
Yeah, and so when it comes to how we practice religion and all that kind of stuff, there's this idea that we need to go out there and we need to save people, because if some people believe if I'm not saving enough people, then I'm not going to get in.
Yeah.
Like, again, you are doing things to try to get yourself in. You're already in.
You can't earn it.
You can't earn it. And as it says in Galatians, if you are sitting there and saying that this is how if you're saying that this is how you get in, you're diminishing the power of the cross every single time. Because you're saying I'm the one that's going to be able to earn it to be able to get in. But then what did Jesus die on the cross for?
What's that verse?
I know we make that argument, but to be fair to why people get into that, it's also, sorry, Nolan.
Yeah.
It's because
you said white people. I thought you said white people. You're like, this is how white people get into that. I was like, what?
By being white?
There's this fine line between, Jesus saying, some will say they know me, but they don't. It's trying to figure out what does being a Jesus follower mean, and then that gets us into a works question. I'll know you by the fruit of your spirit. All right. Well, what does that mean? Well, some people take that as not drinking and smoking and those kind of things. Some people take that as I've got to be out there and talking about Jesus every time I run into a person. So I think that's where I
know where it comes from outside of everywhere else in the Bible. I know what verses lead to people believing X, Y, and Z about how to earn their salvation or whatever. And I'm not suggesting that that's not hard for them to struggle with based off of the scripture and the way that they present it. But this is also where I've gotten to on the show before, where I don't necessarily believe that every single person in their home should be reading the Bible on a regular basis.
Oh, well, you and I agree on that. I mean, but taking the Bible out, what does it mean to be a follower and not just a believer?
Yeah.
And I think that's where the big struggle becomes. But you and I have talked numerous times about how, as much as we Protestants love to talk about how we're different than Catholics and we don't believe in works that's bullshit. Which is, we have different works that we
go look at a street evangelist at any time.
Yeah,
that doesn't even make sense in the context of scripture, in my opinion. I'm just like, I don't even know where you got that from.
Oh, he's reading from Paul and reading from Paul being in
that's how Paul did it. Corinth
at the market, having a 2-hour conversation with people about, but that's not your job.
Which street evangelists are we talking about? Like the gays go to hell ones or the?
I don't think I've ever, that's a good question, but just off the top of my head, I don't think I've ever met a loving street evangelist. It's always hellfire and brimstone.
Hey, I did street evangelism for a day or two in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, but usually, even if you're doing street evangelism, you're like, hey, Jesus loves you or whatever.
There's a character in Sopranos I just followed.
Isn't that fucking awful? Why don't you go out and love somebody instead of just being like, hey, Jesus loves you. You're going through some shit right now, but Jesus loves you.
Hey, I made balloon animals.
There's Tony's.
I'm not hating on what you're doing. I'm just like, but even then, like, if you
did you not go to Fuge that year?
I didn't go to Fuge that year.
Okay, then what I'm saying doesn't make sense.
No, I mean, you said that you did the street evangelism, so I know which Fuge track you did. I did Boys and Girls Club. That was mine. I did a sports camp for.
I would have rather done that.
I bet.
Nolan was trying to earn his salvation.
No, I think you got to like rank. There was 3 options, and you got to rank the 3, and I got my 3rd option.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, it's tough.
There was one where you could like go clean up some person's yard or something. I was like, oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, there is a construction one, but I know the year that we went, what they did was they actually set up. They just helped out the city. It was just they were setting up catch for rock slides. So they were setting up like that's what Chaz Phillips and like my dad was doing. Brandon was doing it with them. They were all setting up all before they all got the fucking swine flu. It was that year.
Shout out to Angry Birds.
Yeah, in Sopranos, Tony's sister is this hippy dippy spiritual type who's always looking for the next thing. And so she moves back home and all of a sudden shows up at the house, and she's got like this dude's he looks like he's straight out of the 60s, like late 60s. And he walks in and says, "Have you heard the good news?" And in every scene after that, he's in for about 10 episodes. Anytime he walks into the room, "Have you heard the good news?"
And you're just like, dude, that's fine. I understand where it comes from. I get it.
There's also a great scene where he and her are trying to write worship music for the reason of making money.
Nice.
Wow.
They're sitting down.
I'm not asking for the world here. I just need $2 million in a ball.
Wow. Did they made a movie about Hillsong before Hillsong was even a thing, or a TV show?
Yeah,
Hillsong
I know.
before
David
Hillsong
Chase
was even a thing?
apparently was on it in 2000. This episode was like 2004.
That's crazy.
They're sitting, they're just, and it's the worst lyrics you've ever heard. It's just awful. Like, yeah, that really works. That works.
I mean,
Well, I hope just for Joe's sake, for anything else. He seems like a cool guy. He seems like a very inquisitive, nice, open-minded. He seems like the kind of guy you'd really like to hang out with.
and there's lots of non-Christian people that I've met that are the exact same way, and I was like, and it's the same kind of thing.
I think he was this way before. I think he's just
what I'm saying. There's tons of people that are just like that, and I hope that they continue to do what they're doing.
yeah.
You know, continue to be a positive light in this world. I was like, even if you don't know that you're following the mission and vision of Jesus Christ, I believe that you are. And so I was like, you may not even be aware that that's what his plans are.
That is where Andrew Schultz spent a good 30 minutes grappling with Wes Huff. And again, Wes was giving him like the theology, Lee Strobel answer to that question. I didn't think he was doing a very good job. Or Schultz was like, so you're telling me I love my brother like myself. I don't know who Jesus's name is, but I love God the way I would love Jesus if I knew him by that name. And you're telling me I'm not and Wes was just like, he was kind of fumbling through it. And you could see he was just losing Schultz anytime and that's always the hard one. I've talked about it before on the show. The old timer we had in our college group would always throw the conversation for a loop when he'd be like, well, what about the savage in the rainforest, or the guy on the island who's never met Jesus before, doesn't never seen the Bible? How does he get saved? I was like, there's one verse.
Thanks, Richard.
There's one verse in the Bible that kind of seems like it answers that, but we don't know. We just don't. So
Thanks, Richard.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. But at the same time, it's a fair question. I broached the subject before.
We're gonna make
Our faith is a Western faith. It has since gone global after 2 millennium, but for a long time, technology being what it is, only a certain number of people on the planet heard it directly. I don't think that fully explains how the gospel works and how it's communicated to people, how the Holy Spirit works.
What about the aliens, man?
Well, don't get me going there, because I have learned that from Joe Rogan too. So, psilocybin, DMT, aliens. All right, I got one more. We're gonna do a little bit more of indifference
before we move in,
but the opposite side of it.
Oh, I had a main topic too.
Oh, you do?
Oh, we can skip it. We can.
No, let's go.
Before we move on, 97 episodes of news radio just missed syndication.
Oh, that's bogus. That's like vengeful.
They do it on purpose.
That's, you know what, I've actually heard that before. Yeah.
And there's not a Nickelodeon show that's ever made 100 episodes until SpongeBob, or except for SpongeBob.
Wow, that's rude.
Yeah.
That show had a really good cast.
R.I.P. Phil Hartman.
Oh, I was like
Phil Hartman.
I was like, SpongeBob? Yeah, it's one of the best.
Stephen Root, Dave Foley. Can't remember the girl's name. Anyway.
Do you remember back in the day when Kershaw would have like 55 pitches through like 6 innings?
Yeah.
It's the top of the third.
Oh. Still love you, buddy.
Yeah, 100%. Oof.
That's gone.
That was crushed.
That didn't sound good.
Throw that back on the table.
People that don't know the studio here, I have to sit with my back to the TV, and I watch in the reflection of tonight. I'm watching the reflection of a U2 poster.
The rattle and hum.
Yeah, maybe we can reorient this after I get new flooring in.
We're going to have to move all this stuff out sometime.
All right. Oh, my topic was just on church takeovers.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. Oh, yeah. That's right. Go.
I don't know. Do you feel like it's something that should be done? You both are libertarian at this table, so I feel like you should both say no.
I don't know what you mean by a church takeover.
Oh, like church is struggling, and so another church comes and helps them out and saves them, and then they become a part of their church campus.
Yeah, so our church neighborhood announced 2 weeks ago that they are taking over a church in Kingsburg, and they're starting a satellite church.
It's what Bayside does all the time. It's what megachurches do. They're like, you're struggling, so we're going to come and we're going to assume all your debt. You're going to still pay off all your debt, but you get to put our brand and our name on you, and then you can be our church, and you're now going to put in our
there's
policies.
Brian Rothmuller.
Oh, yeah, that is Brian. Snap that
I
picture.
didn't know he wears that helmet.
That is kind of
Well,
funny.
if you're in the dugout.
It's not a bad idea. Hockey guys started doing it about 25 years ago. It started buying hockey helmets.
That's funny.
We just saw one of my photographers, one of my really good photographers on the television for a good bit, for 10 seconds. Yeah, so they took over from what Gilbert told me, that they weren't struggling. They were basically out of business. If we didn't come in, they were done. So, I mean, I don't know if that changes it for you or not, but
Nope. No, it doesn't change it for me. I'm also just like, I'm of the type that's just like,
what specifically bothers you by this?
I don't like, I think maybe it's just like the association with the megachurch model where it's we're going to go in, we're going to save this. I'm also just kind of the type that's just like, just let it die. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if this guy wasn't meant to be a pastor or whatever in this area, or they're like, Kingsburg still needs it. Nobody's sitting there and thinking that Kingsburg needs another fucking church.
Well, I don't know. My mom would disagree.
You don't get to say that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
My
Like,
mom's ecstatic. She hates all the churches in town.
dude, fucking churches. I'm sorry. I think actually that's probably what it is. You don't need another fucking church. It's we don't like the old people, and so let's just make a new one. Or we don't like this, let's just make a new one. Okay, sure, if you're doing a house church, but that's not what you're doing. You're trying to put a mega church on the block. And that's what it is. Neighborhood's going to go in there and they're going to make another campus.
Oh, I hope they don't do that.
No, it is. It's going to be a campus. It's a neighborhood campus.
Yeah, but
Are they going to telecast?
they're going to telecast. They're going to telecast for a while.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But
Go to
here,
a
okay.
megachurch, bro.
What?
So
Yeah, I go to a mega church now.
Yeah, you go to a megachurch. If that wasn't clear from your 30-acre campus.
That's all soccer fields.
There was a skate park at one point. I don't know if it's still there or not.
Nah, it's all soccer fields. That's all it is. I was like, are you talking about us or V1?
You guys.
No, it's all soccer fields.
Like corner of Acres and Reagan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all soccer fields. I know if there was a skate park, trust me.
I do have mixed feelings about it, but I'm not as negative as you are.
I don't know. But I've had this issue before where it's again, why are we?
The pro is you have a group of people who know what they're doing, so let them try to replicate that somewhere else, and in the hope that it's bad management that's been running churches up until now.
Yes, I see the pro. I see like
the negative is, yes, we are now going into megachurch mode, and we are now at some point mission creep is going to diminish the mission and vision of what is the actual part of the church.
Yeah.
Because you're now distracted by what we're trying to do in Kingsburg.
Well, and I'm not afraid of that. I'm fine. Kingsburg can have their 4 stickers as well. I'm saying that, and yeah, they'll be like, we have leadership that's there that's supposed to be for Kingsburg, and they're going to know what's best for Kingsburg. And so therefore, we're going to set it up to where this is what's going to happen. But again, at the end of the day, I might be a little cynical where I'm still recognizing that churches are all about, whether we like it or not, somebody is sitting there and saying, yeah, we can make money off of this. There's money that's to be made off of this.
Yeah. I think sometimes you use that a little too freely, but
just because I've been in, because
I
I've
understand.
Well, I know, but I met with financial people at a megachurch, and they told me how they were how they believed that their whole system works. It doesn't mean that
Nolan,
good things are happening.
there should be 3 IPAs from Burning Sun on the bottom shelf.
It doesn't mean that there's not good things going on. It's just, dude, I don't know. Again, as a libertarian, I mean, well, but you guys, I mean, it's not a government. It's not a government buyout, but it's.
I don't think the libertarian has anything to do with it. I would say where I do agree with you is I think one of the stupidest things modern American capitalists believe is that if you're not growing, you're dying. That's that's a religious belief. It's absolutely stupid, and it actually leads to good businesses going out of business because you think, oh, I got to keep growing and growing and growing, and then you overexpand and you get over your skis. And so I think at some point there's a level of, which ironically, I think even though we're not there anymore, I think that's what, there's a level of entropy that churches need to realize is like, this is who we are. We're a 400 person church. They've got different labels, but they're the same beer.
Oh, I was like, are we going to do
yeah, they told me that night. They're like, oh, by the way, these are all the same thing. I was like, oh, okay. I thought I was getting, no, they're just labels changed.
Flip Flops by the Fire is such a good name for a beer.
Ooh, tangy.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess that's my biggest issue. Is I don't like that we're going mega.
What does this have to do with being a libertarian?
He walked it back while you were inside.
I didn't walk it back. You walked it back from it. You said, I don't.
No, you started to. You said, I don't know if it has anything to do with being libertarian.
Oh, well, I was just saying, I mean, it's a buyout.
Yeah, but not by the government.
You know, churches, okay. Like, we have tax, like, we're allowed to, like, be free of taxes and all that stuff. Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I believe everybody should be free of taxes, though, so, you know. They're not a government entity. They just don't pay taxes, which good for them.
It's not a libertarian thing, but I guess what you're trying to say is you're not putting a small church under a bigger church umbrella. Is that what you're trying to say?
You're just saying that your tax
No, you.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm saying, no, but here's actually how my connection goes. You're saying that your tax dollars should not go to helping out struggling companies out there in the world. Correct. Is it cool? I don't think that my tithe dollars should go to help out struggling churches out there in the world.
That's fair.
That is fair.
I was like, okay.
No, that's fair. And I mean, I was a bit gobsmacked when it got announced. I was like, woof.
If it was like
that was a really good, closely held secret.
If it was a struggling one, and like,
I didn't go to the last leadership thing. They might have talked about.
If it was going to a struggling church and there's not one for 100 miles, then okay. But that's not what it is.
All right. Okay, but let me push back on that. The state of churches in the Central Valley is abysmal.
Well, the people in Kingsburg don't care. Well, your mom lives in Kingsburg, but your mom, I don't know what your mom's looking for. Which also, super fan of the show, Tim's mom getting a shout out. I don't know what you're looking for.
I don't know why she's happy. I don't know how she's going to get over there. It's not like I'm going to drive up there to drive her to church.
Well, it's already it's your church. Might as well just go to the service in Kingsburg.
I don't know how she's going to get there. She doesn't drive. So
I know.
All she's going to end up doing is, I mean, she watches online.
I think he's saying you drive her there.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not driving up there to then drive over to the church and then drive 15 minutes south to go to my church. And
No, but you are going to your church. You're just going to a different campus. Remember?
No, I'm not.
You're a megachurch
no.
now, and it's
Look, this
simulcast.
is where I agree. I do not want to go to church where I got church being piped in. That's a terrible idea.
I've done it. It sucks.
But again, like
I was at a church in Northridge, Shepherd of the Hills, huge church. Dudley Rutherford, he's, I don't know, semi-famous in pastor circles. He had, I don't know, 8,000-9,000 every Sunday, and every single time I got in the room next to the service, so I'm watching a video while church is going on
You were in
inside.
the overflow like a peasant.
Yeah.
Wow.
And after a while, I was just like, why even bother coming? This is just
You should have
ridiculous.
just tithed more.
Of course, this was
hold the seat
before.
for you.
This was before you could watch it online. And now, actually, when I go to neighborhood, I enjoy just sitting outside and hearing it. And not
that's
seeing
what I
it.
do. That's what I've done the past 3 Sundays.
And I've had to shush people and be like, I'm actually trying to listen to this, so leave me alone.
I've never shushed anybody. Oh, like that have come up and tried to have a conversation.
Well,
or?
Jordan came up and had a conversation, and I talked to him. But if it's just me and Danica, it's like, hey, babe, I'm trying to listen to this.
Actually, I appreciate it because then I can be on my phone, which I'm still able to listen at the same time as be on my phone and just kind of chill there and listen.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Don't tell my teenagers that.
You can't be on your phone in the service, and you get
Well,
sideways looks.
we just
I'm
spent,
sorry. I'm playing a game on my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
I watch NASCAR races on my phone when we run late and there's an early green
You
flag.
sit in the back though.
Middle.
Oh, I sit in the front.
What does he care? He's got like major person in the church. This is his dad. We can run flack for him.
Yeah.
They know what Nolan's about. You know, this
He gets
just
it.
all this did was reinforce. Andy's listening to this and just shaking his head and saying, "Yeah, you guys keep flirting with home."
No,
church
and everybody
you never
knows
do
that
it."
you're just the whore in church. So th're just like, yeah, he could just do that over there in the corner.
Correct.
Sinner, is that the better word? I'm sorry. Isn't it? You sweating like a whore in church?
So
No,
lights
is it-
up a stick and just starts watching.
Yeah, there we go,
NASCAR.
dude.
God,
dare
that's
you.
so cool.
Light
I
up a
dare
dart
you.
and just be like, open up a thing. Sorry.
Kellen comes and sits by him.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I get Kellen Pedersen.
Hey, give me one of those.
Yeah.
Actually, just take rips from a flask.
So, we brought our own sacraments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Deny the communion stuff and just take rips from the whiskey when they say, I drink this in the name of the Father.
I took a flask. I've taken a flask with me to Christmas Eve service multiple times.
Nolan takes a
It's
rip.
Bailey's.
No, it was Bullet, and they handed out coffee mugs after the service, and myself and an elder of the church poured ourselves some whiskey
There you go.
and sipped it while everything was happening.
Nice.
Those service
Whiskey for the wine, and he puts in a pouch for the bread.
This is the Lord's Zen broken for me.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. That'd be amazing.
I am a Zenner in need of a savior.
Yeah, see, we just need to start our own home church. Ramblin' home church.
But then it can't be in the same spot 2 weeks in a row. Has to move around every week.
Well, we've already done this before. It's got to be that way because the ridiculous breakfast has to be distributed amongst different families.
No, screw the breakfast.
Oh, it was glorious.
We had good breakfast.
It got insane.
You got competitive.
It did.
Anybody feel like this tastes kind of like cleaning products smell?
Yeah, I kind of get that.
I was like, I'm not saying it's
a
a bad. I'm not saying it's bad.
Oh, 100%.
I'll
Wow.
give like a pledge.
See my list here again.
Hey,
I think there was a couple of descriptions we skipped over, but apply to this one. This one, mouthfeel is vicious. The ingenuity is excessive.
Hey, can we have a hoodie and shorts beer that we make eventually?
Sure.
Yeah. Our first solid West Coast IPA can be hoodie and shorts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know when that's gonna be. We gotta figure some shit out over there in the brewing process before that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next one's gonna be. We're supposed to make a crisp West Coast IPA this go around. The next one's got oranges in it, so we're just gonna make 2 of the same thing.
Well, I hope not.
Ditch the oranges.
I hope I get more citrus flavor out of it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there's no citrus in our beer.
That's correct.
No, but it's fruity though.
We'll call it shorts and flip flops, or shorts and or hoodie and shorts.
We just need to dial in an English ale, and then that'll be what's our pig? Something Piglets. Twin Temple Piglets.
Yes, Stone Temple Piglets.
Stone Temple Piglets. We'll we just need to make that our English ale. Because I feel like our beer is closer to an English ale than a fucking IPA.
West Coast, yeah, that's fair. I don't want to lose that logo. The thing is sick.
No, you nailed on the logo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like it, and I like the name. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just like, all right, we need to find a beer category to pursue so we can keep it.
So,
but it works though. We were trying to make Blind Pig, but we made a Stone Fruity IPA or ale.
Yeah,
Stone Temple Piglets.
I'm saying it's not an IPA, but I'm saying that like we can make it. But I'm saying like if we were to try to recreate it, I don't think we get.
Oh hell no!
No, yeah, well, I wouldn't remake.
I wouldn't recreate it, but I'd try to find something where it's like we could keep it and just be like, yeah, this is based off of our single IPA high that we tried to make, but we ended up making a nice English ale or whatever. I don't know.
It's a Belgian Abbey ale. Sure. No, it's not because it doesn't have any spice to it. No, it is. It is kind of like a Belgian treble.
Fair.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, home church is the only solution. So once again,
that's where we come to. Guys, I think we need to end it there because this is the most on track episode where the 3 of us have been on before.
We can do that. We're at 147 anyway.
And we had an episode about nothing.
We forgot to do what are you listening to? I came prepared.
Oh, we haven't been doing that for a while, but
okay.
I can do that.
I can do it.
Tim, start us off.
No, you go ahead.
I can go if you don't want to go first.
I'll go first. I don't care.
Oh, okay.
So 2 albums I've been listening to for one of them for about a month and the other for about 2 weeks, and I've just been going back and forth. Price of Admission by the Turnpike Troubadours is fantastic. It opens with a 5-minute waltz about generational alcoholism, and it's awesome. Such a good song. And then the other one is Time of Your Life by Kat Hasty, the love of my life. And I think I'm going to try and go see her in August in Denver because she's not coming west of there. And I'm going to go hang out with my niece and go see her, I think. Oh, and the Dodgers are in town that week. And Denver tickets are cheaper than dirt right now. So
it's almost like the team sucks.
Yeah. It's almost like the team won 3 games out of
3 weeks.
Well, yeah, 3 weeks.
3 weeks, man.
What was that stat you gave me over the weekend?
It was Scotty Scheffler from May 2nd to this last Sunday. Played in 4 events and won 3 of them. And
golf tournaments.
Yeah, golf tournaments. And the Colorado Rockies played in 28 games, or no, 24 games in that same time frame and also won 3 of them.
Good Lord.
Oh.
Denver deserves better.
Coors Field deserves better.
Yeah.
Well, I get to see lots of home runs that weekend.
I mean, it's not a major market, but it's a decent-sized market. You should have a better baseball team than that.
It's a bigger city than I thought it was. I know it's grown a lot in the last few years, but
so when they came in, it wasn't all the same year. It was like 2 one year and then 2 the other. But the Colorado, Arizona, Tampa, Florida, Miami now all came in around the same time, late 90s. And the Rockies are the worst of the 4. And that's saying something because Arizona's not been very good either.
Yeah.
But I would say Colorado's got to be worse in terms of like postseasons and that kind of thing. They might have a better regular season aggregate record, but I can only think of 1 year where Don Pedersen jumped on the bandwagon. That's about it. I can't think of any other playoff run. Diamondbacks have had 3 or 4 in that span.
Diamondbacks have, and Diamondbacks also have a pool in left field.
They do.
And that pool directly led to me tweeting Senator John McCain to suck it when he was talking shit about the Dodgers jumping in the pool after they clinched the West.
You put a pool in, it's going to get used.
Put pool is going to get used. Yeah, Yasiel Puig on the team? Come on now. My guy's hopping in the pool.
Right, that was an Adrian Gonzalez idea.
Was it?
And I don't know. It seemed like it.
We'll do indifference and nationalism next week.
Wait, are you going to say what you're listening to? Nolan's the only one that's going to say what he's listening to? Or do you want me to say what I'm listening to?
You can say what you're listening to.
Yup. I'm back on my bullshit. I'm like 96 Jordan. I'm back on my bullshit. I am listening to pop punk pretty regularly. So your boy is listening to Mayday Parade, put out a new album recently. The album's called Sweet. It's like 39 minutes long. Love it from start to finish. Short, sweet, simple, classic, early thousands pop punk. It's what I'm looking for. So love it. It's 2025 and that's what my vibe is. So there you go.
Played a little pop punk on Friday night at the birthday party I was at.
You did.
Hell yeah.
I got made DJ, so I was told to play 80s, and I was like, or play oldies. I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to guess. So,
well, my teenagers asked me if I was going through a phase. I said, it's not a phase. It's a lifestyle.
It was never a phase, Mom.
I'm still listening to Flying Burritos quite a bit, but I'm also listening to Marty Robbins. No, sorry, Marty Stewart, not Marty Robbins.
Interesting.
Marty Stewart, who is actually named after Marty Robbins.
Did not know that.
Marty is named after Marty. Yeah, his mom named him after Marty Robbins. But Marty Stewart's a lesser known country bluegrass. When he records, I don't know why he does this. When he records on his own, he tries to do country. He does fairly good job at it. But what he's really good at is playing bluegrass guitar and stuff like that. But I think the man's got a huge ego, so he fancies himself as a main artist, and you're not going to make a lot of money doing bluegrass, but
he's also really the foremost historian on country music.
He is. He's a great guy. He's featured quite a bit in the Ken Burns thing. So, but there's a lot of good songs he does. He does a lot of things with, well, not a lot. He's got several songs with, I think it's Travis Tritt that he does it with. They're good kind of duet kind of things. Anyway, yeah. So we had a good playlist going 2 Saturdays ago when we were brewing. It was all live concerts off YouTube. We started off with the Lumineers, and then it went to Nathaniel Ratliff and the Night Sweats, and then
we had a couple of U2 live albums.
And then we went to Red Clay Strays,
banger,
and something else, and then we hit U2. And by then we were so busy I wasn't monitoring what was getting played. It was just YouTube went on a walkabout, which is kind of playing whatever.
It's good.
All right, yeah. So next week we'll talk about nationalism and indifference, because I think there's an overlap and it's toxic. So, thank you for listening to this episode. Yada, yada, yada. Go to hell.